Everybody's asked for it, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. We're going to talk about my video game collection. The number one question I get is how I got started collecting video games. Now, since I was a kid, I've always played video games with my dad. We had the Apple IIe. Actually, I still do have it. It's tucked away in a closet with a bunch of other gaming magazines and stacks of other stuff that's not on display. But, I always loved them. I've got all the original boxes for my NES games. I've always just been kind of somebody who keeps things all together or it would drive me nuts. But it didn't really start, getting into it and getting crazy about it until I started, when I worked at EB Games. Getting a discount definitely entices you to collect more and more and more. And it was definitely, I actually went in debt instead of making money at that job. So I don't know if that was a good idea or not. But, it paid off in the long run because now I have this amazing collection. A lot of people ask, what is my favorite item in this collection? Now, I can't answer that because all of these items, I bought, I was with love. To be honest with you, except for a couple of them that have really disappointed me. Example of Too Human, but a lot of the classic things I've sought after. I said I want this. I tried to get all the, Wisdom Tree games at one point in time. It's just it keeps going. Once you start, it's like you just keep wanting to do more and more and more. Why every color of N64? Now, for one, it looks cool. And for two, they were cheap. Like everything was, PlayStation 2. So, when I worked at EB Games, Perfect Liz actually worked at GameStop. I get phone calls because I knew everybody in the area. And as soon as they get a color traded in, I get a phone call and I go buy it for like $15. So it was just a totally random. I saw the green one. I'm like, I have to have that one. And then I saw the box and I was like, wait, there's 9 other colors. So I eventually went crazy and finally found all of them. Which is really cool and a lot of fun to collect. Now, do I think my collection is the best? Yes. Bottom line is yes. I know people have more rare things and, probably more of whatever, but, like I said before, everything here was bought with love, I went out and sought it and even if it was for a review or for whatever the website stuff, I was excited to say, oh, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and buy this, review it, and I'll add stuff to the collection, which is awesome. A big question I get is, where do I get these amazing shelves behind me here? They're actually at Best Buy. If you get them on sale, they're about $60 to $80. If not, it's about $130. They're really cheap, but they do the job. It looks good, and they're the perfect size for just about any video game. I mean, even the Neo Geo fits in there just fine. Am I a nerd for having a massive video game collection? No, because of this. A lot of people ask me, what are the most rare items in the collection? Now, trust me, everybody loves to have the rare, the golden gem of your collection, but it's not necessarily something that I strive for. Although, who wouldn't love the Nintendo World Championship cartridge or whatever? But, I usually just get on a kick of something like I'll buy the 32X and then for some reason I have to have all the rest of the games. A couple rare things I do have is a sealed Noah's Ark 3D, which I got by accident, actually. I bought it on eBay, had no idea it was sealed. Some guy was just getting rid of it. I paid like $15. When I got it, I was pissed off for one because I wanted to play the game, but I was also glad because it's also an open copy. I also have Final Fight Guy, which was a Blockbuster exclusive. Pretty fun to be able to play as Guy, of course, before they had enough memory to put in all the characters on video games, but it made it really cool. The Wizard, signed by the cast, I got to go down there, and I guess that's pretty rare. Not many people have the Wizard DVD signed by Fred Savage. The girl, I can't think of her name, who's in a band, and then of course the director, but very cool, very fun experience. I'm glad I have something like that. And another thing is the retail box. Now, this box was given out to all the stores in the area, and it came with, the classic games, Ice Climbers, all this stuff for the Game Boy Advance. And they sent us all these lanyards and t-shirts for each one of the games. Now, this is not normally that rare, but to have it all together in one box, I had to, since Elizabeth and I worked in 2 different stores, she stole some from there, I stole some from another store, called in a few favors to get a complete box and put it together just to have it. And I think it's really cool. I haven't really seen a complete one at all, ever. A big question to those of you who have women out there is, how does my wife or your girlfriend let me get away with spending all my time and money on something like this? You have to have something or someone pretty understanding. And it also helps that they also enjoy playing video games. Perfect Liz does enjoy playing video games, but I guess not as much as I do, especially with the older titles, but it definitely helps. And then also to have an outlet, a reason to show off the games is also something that makes it easier saying, oh, you know what, I'm doing this for the fans or a website or something like that. It makes it easy to say, you know what, I'm going to go spend $50 and buy 10 NES games that I didn't have. So it makes it really fun. Another huge question is, how do I afford these video games in the video game collection? The real answer is, for one, I went in debt when I worked at EB Games. And then the second one is finding the right deals. I mean, it's very hard to, very easy to find whatever you want on eBay, but you're gonna pay too much money, or if you go to some of those retail stores, you're gonna pay too much there. One of the things I used to do is I would put my collection on disc and give it to the certain local stores. So when I call them to see what they had new, they would tell me about it. They'd go through my collection, look at it. I pretty much manipulate the system as much as possible. When Blockbuster started trading in games, you trade in 2 games, you get a free brand new game, and I used to buy $1.99 Madden games and to go trade them in and get free games. I paid $4 for $60 games. Garage sales, I don't like going to them very much, but you can find some great things. And another one, well, it's illegal, but it's not. Basically, EB Games stopped taking in N64, Super Nintendo, all that stuff, but kids would come in with a bag full of these games. And I say, I'm sorry, I can't trade it in, but I'll give you $20. And they take the $20 and I take the bag full of N64 games, and I got Chrono Trigger and a bunch of other rare Super Nintendo games that way. I paid $15. So it's being at the right place at the right time, and then also people, when I go into game stores, they knew my name. They're like, oh, hey, what's going on? This is what we have new. This is what we have. So it was easy to find what I wanted when I wanted it, and if it came in, I got a phone call. So it's, I guess it's networking, taking a lot of time to look for it, and then abusing the deals as much as possible. A big question I get, people for some reason still think arcade games are really expensive. They are on eBay. Now, if you go to arcade auctions, like, we go to something called superauctions.com. I know a lot of people there don't like to tell everybody else because they want to get great deals and don't want people outbid. But you know what? Everybody loves arcade games, and you can get them for cheap. I mean, I've got the Neo Geo machine I got for $40 with 4 games in it. And I guess if I went to eBay and I got that 4-slot thing, I could sell it for like $200 or $300. I'm not going to sell it because I love the arcade games, but examples like that happen all the time. You need to know where to buy it, the right thing. Things are going under. Do some search, do some research, especially. Do not buy things on eBay unless you really want it or you can't find it anywhere else. But if you go to Super Auctions, I guarantee you're going to find a good deal if you keep going back, especially. There's, high times and low times. There's a buyer's market and a seller's market, and you hit it just right, you're going to clean up. I mean, the pinball machine was $1,000, which is actually really cheap for a perfectly good pinball machine. $1,000 is like the bottom. You can't get it for any cheaper than that, or any pinball machine cheaper than that. The Mortal Kombat machine, yes, it was a little more expensive. It was about $500, but it is in mint condition, and I'm being a huge Mortal Kombat, fan, I had to get it. And then also I installed the Mortal Kombat 1 board in it, so I just switch it over. Arcade games get awesome, but definitely look for the cheapest, best deal, and with a little bit of knowledge, you can tweak them, upgrade them, and actually buy boards for super cheap. One thing I always like to talk about are the weirdest items in my collection. Now, some of the weirdest items are the trans vibrator, which is technically for your feet, but we all know where you put it. It goes with the game Res, which you can play on Xbox Live. Unfortunately, it doesn't work on Xbox Live, but it was Japan only. The Katana Soul Controller for Onimusha. Now, there's a story behind it. I pre-ordered it. It was $150. I regret this. The manager was a douchebag that I was working for at the time at EB Games. And usually, we pre-order things. If we didn't have the money, we put it in the back. But he made me buy it. A month later, they pennied them out because nobody bought them, or not enough people bought the Hori controller. It's just a ridiculous. It doesn't work very well, but I guess it's kind of a motion controller sensor inside of it, and it's huge and something interesting. Another really weird thing that got pennied out was the Kickboxer, and you actually attach things on your wrist to fight in fighting games. It doesn't work for crap. Really weird. But that also brings me to another point. If you do work at a game store, which I recommend if you're going to collect, There are items that get pennied out or are supposed to be smashed. Basically, for example, they had light guns that they pennied out, and you're supposed to take them to a hammer and throw them away. And I'm not sure why they counted as a loss. It's some kind of thing, but you know, you wink at the right people and make the right moves, you're going to get them. I used to get free strategy guides and trade them in at bookstores because they penny them out after 2 months because if it, you know, they're just taking up shelf space. So, you know, another way to kind of, you know, ease your way in there. Also, you know, displays and things like that are free as long as you know the right people are work there. So it's a, you know, really cool thing to take advantage of. But, you know, as far as interesting things go, there's a ton of random things. I mean, I have dog tags from different things. I have collector's coins. I've got glasses, you name it. Halo watches that you can only get at certain places. You know, definitely fun and unique stuff. One of the cool things to get that's actually mostly free is artwork and posters from different video games. Now, I have a ton of Metroid stuff. You know, I've got the collection poster I had to frame, which was really cool. Some fan artwork that's signed. You know, I've got the Dead or Alive scroll. I've got the display for F-Zero, display for Donkey Kong. I've got a God of War 3 poster that I got framed that's really cool. And then, of course, you know, I really enjoy having, you know, 150, 100, and 200 of Nintendo Power. Now, that just started because I had a subscription to Nintendo Power, and I got the 200 this year, and I was like, wait, I used to love reading these as a kid. So I went online, and of course, I got lucky and bought, you know, the 150 and 100 for really cheap. They're not cheap anymore, but, you know, it just, like I said, it's addictive. You're going to buy one thing and just keep going. One thing I am collecting now, and I love to collect, is Saturn games, Sega CD games, and those type of things because, you know, a couple reasons. One, they're not going to be emulated. You know, I hate it when I buy a, you know, let's Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on the Dreamcast, and then 2 weeks later it comes out, you know, fully upgraded on Xbox Live. So right now it's more fun for me to collect those full motion video games, and I have a lot of fun making fun of them or just enjoying what they tried to do. Even some of them failed, some of them didn't. So it makes it very entertaining to keep going with that. Now, you don't see a lot of controllers, accessories, and cables, and that's because I keep them all in a chest of drawers. Now, I need to expand this chest of drawers because it's overflowing, but I just keep things rubber banded and have a knowledge of what cord goes with what. Yes, it gets confusing. I wish it was more organized, but what are you going to do? The easiest thing for me to do instead of having cords everywhere is to, you know, bundle them up and put them in the drawers, and that's how I keep them. If you ask me what items are missing from my collection, there's actually too many to name. There's so many different items out there, it gets ridiculous. But I guess off the top of my head, Star Fox, you know, and Donkey Kong Competition, they're just too expensive unless I find some crazy deal for me to go after. I'd love to have them. Again, that goes back to the, you know, rare versus, you know, games I just love to play and get because I played them when I was a kid. I'm also missing, which is kind of a big deal to me, I'm kind of sad I don't have it, but something signed by Miyamoto. Now, I think I would like to get an N64 signed by him somehow, if I can find one for cheap, and then, you know, it's got to go with the rest of the N64, so it just kind of completes that section for me. You know, of course, there's other things like Elemental Gearbolt, the one that came in the briefcase, and you know, there's all kinds of crazy things that, you know, are really hard to find or just unique items. The easiest way where I look for these things is Gamesniped.com. Now, they find the best, rarest things on the internet, put them on here. They have a lot of prototypes. I'm not too interested in those, but you know, they have artwork and things signed and statues and you name it. If it's rare in video games, it's going to be on that site, and they're mostly eBay auctions. I'll tell you if it's cheap, if they think it's a ripoff. Love that site, and hopefully they keep going. That just about does it. There's too much to talk about. I love talking about the collections. If you have any questions, please post them on our forums. You know, under the everything section, and I will be sure to answer them as best I can. If you would like to send me games, which I have no problem with, to review or just to you know, beef up the collection, I have no problem with that. You can also email me, tom@thegameheroes.com, and you know, I will respond there too. But one thing I am going to do, if you go to the profile page, there will be a link under my name, and it'll show you the list of all the games and consoles that I have. Now, it still needs to be updated, but this list is pretty current of this last year or so. And, you know, if you're really interested to see how many Super Nintendo games I have or how many N64 games I have or what I'm missing, you know, feel free to look it over and comment about it. It's just something fun for you guys to check out. You know, go ahead and enjoy checking it out. Am I a huge nerd for having a giant video game collection? Yes, because, I guess it's just the culture. No, because it's something that I love and I just collect things. Actually, back when we started the previous website, who I started it with used to give me a hard time about all the video games they bought. He's like, "Man, you're an idiot for, you don't need all these video games, blah blah blah." He used to give me a hard time, which is pretty funny because it led to all of this.